Everybody, we appreciate you coming out here. We are going to move through this, and we're going to go through a few people. We have the city manager, Michael Holland, is going to step up and say a few words, followed by Chief Randy Richardson, is here to talk about Ronil Singh and what he meant to this department and to this community. Sheriff Christensen will follow us up with giving us an update on the current manhunt that we have going on, as well as some updates in the investigation. We will take a few questions as we go. Please remember that the chief is here to speak about his officer, his friend. Let's keep the questions for the chief focused on that area. The sheriff will be able to take questions regarding the investigation. So if we could start, City Manager Michael Holland, please.
There are events that occur in our lives that change us, who we are as individuals and as a community. For too long, these press conferences have been occurring throughout this great country. We have watched from a distance as police chiefs, mayors, and family members have outspoken about their loss and the impact these senseless acts have upon their families and on their communities. Good people throughout these United States, there is a war going on in our country. It is a battle of good versus evil, light versus darkness. Corporal Ronil Singh chose to be part of the light, not just because he put on a badge and protected our community, but in every aspect of his life. Corporal Singh, or Ronil, Ron as we called him, was a light to this community, to his family, and to his Fijian community. People who interacted with Ronil will remember his contagious smile and laugh, and his commitment to treating people fairly and with respect. To his wife Anamika and their beautiful son, his parents, brother, and the entire Fijian community. On behalf of the residents of this community, the City Council, the Newman City Council, and all our employees, please accept our utmost gratitude for the privilege of knowing and working together with Corporal Ronil Singh. He was truly a bright light in our lives. He will be forever missed, but never forgotten. Thank you.
All right, Chief, if you want to come up here, please keep in mind this is a very small department. Chief's been having a tough time with this one, so bear with us, okay?
Like you said, please bear with me. I know I won't get through this without having to take a few minutes. This is not a big department. This is a department of 12. This is a man that I saw every day he worked. This is a man that I relieved on Christmas Day so he could go home and spend time with his family and his newborn child. I think what's being lost here is, yes, he was a police officer, and that's why all of you are packed in this room, because he was tragically taken from us. But what needs to be known is that he was truly just a human being and an American patriot. Ron was not born in America. Ron was born in Fiji. He came to this country with one purpose, and that was to serve this country. When I took over as police chief, we had some vacancies in the department, and one of my first hires was Ronil Singh. He had a thick accent. He was hard to understand at times because English was not his first language. I believe it was his third language. When I sat with him in the chief's interview, he told me he came to America to become a police officer. That's all he wanted to do. He truly loved what he did. You've never seen a man smile more than him. I know that's said a lot in these things, but you ask anybody, he was never in a bad mood. It was unreal. He loved what he did. He loved being a police officer. He loved being a husband. He loved being a father. He loved to hunt. He loved to fish. He loved to go out in the ocean and spearfish, to jet ski, to ride his flyboard. You have to understand this was not supposed to happen here. I've been to too many of these funerals, and I never thought ever that I would have to be doing this. I do not want to be here today. I would give anything not to. I did not know Christmas morning at 4 o'clock in the morning when I said goodbye to him and sent him off to his family that it would be the last time that I saw him. My department is hurting. We are struggling through this. So please be in mind when you see them that it's hard for them. We're a family. We're not an agency. We're a family. The overwhelming support from everyone, from the sheriff's department taking the lead on this investigation, their overwhelming support to handle the streets while my officers could grieve and could be there for that officer. The Modesto Police Department, the Oakdale Police Department, the Turlock Police Department, Ceres Police Department. I know I'm forgetting many. Overwhelming support across the nation that has come in is tremendous, and we're truly grateful. I'm sure I left a lot of people out, and I'm sorry for that. I want you guys over my shoulder. I'm going to actually hold it up. This was Ron. He moved the Christmas tree in front of the flag to take his own picture to send to us. He wasn't wanting to work Christmas, but he knew he had to. It just fell on his squad, and he was okay with it. He was a canine handler. His dog there is Sam. Sam was with him when this tragic event took place. When I pulled Sam out of the car, Sam was wearing a Mrs. Claus outfit that he'd put on her because it's just the kind of guy he was. Just did little things like that just to bring smiles to people's faces. Sure, she was a narcotics canine, and he would have probably have loved to pull over a car and use his narcotics canine to arrest somebody with Sam in a Mrs. Claus outfit because he probably would have thought it was funny. Please remember the man. Please remember the husband. Please remember what he was, what he came to this country to do. Yes, he was a police officer, but more importantly, he was a human being. And that's how he would want to be remembered. He was proud to wear the uniform, and he does want to be remembered as a police officer, but don't forget the other things, the little things that are oftentimes forgotten in these stories. That his 5-month-old, he will never hear talk. He will never see his son walk. He doesn't get to hold that little boy, hug his wife, say goodnight anymore because a coward took his life. Please help us find this man and bring him to justice. I hope he's watching today and he does the right thing and turns himself in. We need closure. His family needs closure. This will never go away, but we need something, a win. We need something so we can move on. Thank you so much for being here. I apologize for my emotions. I hope that Ron is never forgotten. I hope in a week that he is not forgotten. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sheriff Adam Richardson. I'm the sheriff here in Stanislaus County, and we are the agency that's the lead investigator in this senseless act of violence. Let me start by telling you that I'll update you, but as you know, for a variety of reasons, including officer safety, the credibility and integrity of our investigation, we want to be able to deliver to the district attorney a prosecutable case. There are details I'm simply not going to get into. But I also recognize that we live in a world of social media. And social media has a tendency to get ahead of law enforcement. So just because I don't answer the question, don't think for a second that I don't understand that many of you probably already have some of the answers. We have identified a suspect in this case. We are actively pursuing every investigative lead. We have spared no expense. We have multiple teams out following up every lead, and we will relentlessly continue to hunt our suspect down and bring him to justice so that, as the chief said, we can bring closure to this community and this police department. I would offer on behalf of the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office, the men and women who work there, and as you have seen once again, all of law enforcement come together. We certainly offer our deepest condolences to Chief Richardson, the family, the law enforcement family here at the Newman Police Department, and the community of Newman, who, by the way, in the history of this department has never suffered a line of duty death. Many of us have, multiple times. This suspect, unlike Ron, who immigrated to this country lawfully and legally to pursue his lifelong career of public safety, public service, and being a police officer, this suspect is in our country illegally. He doesn't belong here. He's a criminal. We will find him, we will arrest him, and we will bring him to justice. Now, I want to thank and recognize that we have a lot of partners involved in this investigation. From the very moment that the Sheriff's Office and other agencies responded to this tragedy, our homicide team, our crime scene investigation team, multiple specialty teams, special investigations units, our federal law enforcement partners, state and local, all working collaboratively, like we do, to find our suspect. We're getting closer. I would like to think that perhaps we may have him in custody sooner than later. But I think it's important for all of your viewers and readers and everybody else who takes advantage of the media to know that this has a very unique impact on a community that is very small, on a police department that is very small. And like the chief said, we really should be focused on Ron and what he stood for. But understand, the Sheriff's Office will spare no expense in hunting down this criminal and bringing him to justice. Again, I'm happy to answer questions, but it's going to be pretty narrowly focused, as I know you appreciate why.
Chief,
yes.
You've obviously put out his picture.
We have.
We see a car, a truck.
And we have recovered the truck.
Yes. Why not put out his name at this point?
Because we have a protocol we follow in specifically identifying people, and it would be irresponsible for us to issue that information without absolutely knowing, without any doubt, that we have identified the right suspect. So it's purely a matter of internal protocol in identifying people and releasing names, understanding that social media always gets ahead of us, and I'm pretty sure some of you have already figured out who it is. But it's not appropriate for me to identify until we absolutely are 100% certain that we have the right name. Many people share common names. We don't want to make a mistake like that.
Sheriff, do you believe he is within this area in your county? Do you think he's been able to get out of the area?
I believe he is within Stanislaus County, yes. We have reason to believe he's still here. And like the chief said, perhaps if he's listening, watching television, reading it, whatever it is, we strongly encourage him to surrender himself peacefully so that we can bring closure to this senseless act of violence.
Sure, there was surveillance video taken. That's where the pictures were taken from. Was that
Correct.
After the shooting?
Yes.
Or before the shooting? So he committed this murder and then went to the convenience store down the street?
No, he was at the convenience store prior to the alleged crime he committed.
Sheriff, is he from Newman? Is the suspect from Newman?
No.
Sheriff, can you talk a little bit? Some of the people that work and live around Newman say they recognize this suspect and they've given that information to investigators. But is there a chance that he is here with family, with friends? Are you speaking with people who might be harboring him, for example?
We're speaking with everyone, and we've identified multiple people.
Was he known to law enforcement before this incident?
Not that I'm aware of.
How long has the initial traffic stop for? What was the initial traffic stop?
It was a DUI investigation.
How long has he been in this country illegally?
I don't have that right now.
Sheriff, can you explain also, the tow truck had the vehicle yesterday on it. Initially, reports were that there were paper plates on the vehicle, but when it was being towed, there was a California license plate on it. How did...
I don't know the condition of the vehicle when we took possession of it.
Do you know if the suspect has been deported previously?
I don't.
There were a lot of evidence markers in front of Corporal Singh's vehicle that appeared to be shell casings. Do you know if there was an exchange of gunfire?
There was. It was a gunfight. Corporal Singh absolutely tried to defend himself and stop this credible threat.
Why was there a blue tarp on the vehicle?
It's not unusual for us to tarp vehicles just to minimize the, for lack of a better term, sometimes the exploitation that occurs, because everybody nowadays has some type of digital device and they just want to record it and upload it to social media for their own entertainment purposes. So we try to minimize the exploitation of what we're doing in the community because, again, our priority is to protect not only the safety of our personnel during this investigation, but the credibility and integrity of our investigation. So yes, we typically don't share a lot of information, and all of you know why that is. We have a job to do, and we're going to do our job to the best of our ability. And again, we're going to do everything we can to deliver a prosecutable case to the district attorney.
Sheriff, can you confirm, some of the neighbors told us yesterday at the mobile home park, and then we also looked back at some of the radio traffic. Was there a prior call for service at the mobile home park involving perhaps the suspect firing a gun?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't read those calls myself, so without me having actually pulled up and read those calls, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to speak to it. I want to make sure the information I share with you is 100% accurate. We don't live in a world of speculation and other forms of misinformation.
Sheriff, a pretty bold statement to say that he is presumably still here in the county. What makes you believe that?
We have evidence that leads us to believe that he is still in the area.
Should people in this area be concerned?
He is considered armed and dangerous, and certainly if somebody sees our suspect, they do not need to engage him. They do not need to try to stop him. Call 911 and let us come and try to safely take him into custody.
Do you believe he's wounded?
No, we have no evidence to believe that to be the case.
Do you believe he was alone at the time of the traffic stop and shooting?
I can't speak to that.
And whether he received any help once he left the truck at the mobile home?
Wouldn't be appropriate for me to speculate or comment on that.
Sheriff, neighbors say that he has a wife, that he had a young boy, young son that lived with him. Is there any concern that they might be in danger or that they might be with him?
We don't believe his family is in danger at this point.
What would you say to anybody?
I'm sorry?
What would you say to anybody that might be assisting or harboring him?
Be careful. You'll go to jail too.
Sheriff, are you looking for any other suspects other than the primary suspect?
No, we are not. The primary suspect is the only suspect involved in the murder of Officer Singh.
How old is the suspect?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I guess I should have been ready for that one. I don't know his age.
General age, maybe, or ethnicity?
I estimated, and again, I typically don't estimate or speculate, but I'm guessing he's probably in his 30s.
Was the K-9 Sam injured at all during any of this? And
no.
Can anybody address what happens to him next?
Unless the chief wants to address that, that usually takes time to determine what happens. I know and I'll leave it up to the chief, but at the sheriff's office, our canine teams, those dogs are actually, not only are they members of the department and members of the handler's family, but the department owns the dogs. It's, for us, a county asset. So there's a process in which the dog is either reassigned or we retire the dog to the handler or family. Do you want to say anything?
I can address that. Sam is already back home with the Singh family, where Sam belongs. Sam will be retired. She probably does have more time that she could work the streets, but I will not take another member of that family from them. That was a member of their family. The picture I wanted to show you today, and most of you have probably seen it, is because it hit social media, but I did not have approval from his wife because we couldn't get a hold of her this morning, so I would not show it, is a picture from Christmas Day where it's him, his wife, his son, and Sam. And if you look closely at that picture, he's wearing his uniform. It's not an average Christmas picture where they're dressed. He dressed how he wanted to and what he loved to do. And Sam was a member of that family, and Sam will remain a member of that family. One last thing, I know a department that I forgot to mention was the Oakdale Police Department. They were tremendous in helping us through this. They have sent officers here to work the streets for us, and I apologize for not saying my gratefulness to them when I first spoke, and I want the Oakdale Police Department to know that I'm grateful for all their support.
Chief, can you talk about any plans that you guys are making for Officer Singh as far as procession or how that works?
The Modesto Police Department and the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department are working together, and they're handling that portion because, to be honest, we're overwhelmed and we are not prepared, and we're not prepared for this. And I hope I never have to be prepared for this. I hope this never happens again. They've been tremendous in helping us through this process. So there is a process. They are beginning it, but they're handling it.
Chief, can you tell me why or what about law enforcement that Corporal Singh expressed to you, why he was so excited about becoming an officer, what he loved about it?
He wanted to serve this country, and it was this or the military, and he just had a fascination for law enforcement. He worked tirelessly. I know he was a member of the Modesto Police Department as a volunteer when he first came to America. This man drove, then he went to the Turlock Police Department. It was animal control. He was Merced County Sheriff's Reserve. Anything he could do to get his foot in the door in law enforcement. He attended the academy in Yuba County. I don't know exactly where their academy is located. I know it was 2.5 hours one way away from his house, and he would make that drive. That's how dedicated he was to becoming a police officer. I mentioned earlier his accent, and English not being his primary language when he got here. This man put himself through speech classes because he wanted his radio traffic to be understood. He struggled a little bit at the beginning with dispatch understanding him because of his heavy accent, so he took it upon himself to make himself better, and that's just the kind of man he was. He was always trying to do better. He had aspirations to promote. That's why he tested for corporal. He became a corporal. That's why he was a canine. He was a drug recognition expert. He had a fascination for making himself better. He wanted to promote. He wanted to move up in this department. He tested for sergeant. Everything he did was to prepare himself to lead this department someday. That was his goal.
Okay, I will take a couple of more if you have them, but we're going to bring this to a close. Sure. And by the way, just a follow-up, as the chief mentioned, the Sheriff's Office and the Modesto Police Department, my colleague, Chief Galen Carroll, once again as he always does, allocates resources to this effort. We are working collaboratively to put together funeral services. When all of that is done and we've identified all of the details, that will go out to all of you and social media, so you will get it. All right, a couple more and we're going to wrap it up.
Chief, in terms of fundraising, I've seen a GoFundMe, but I know you've said in the past, Chief, I'm sorry, Sheriff.
It's okay.
I know who you are.
I go either way.
Sheriff Richardson, I know you've said in the past to be aware of what you've put out there and what you've said is correct. So what about the other ones out there that...
Unfortunately, we have people in our community and throughout the nation and even the world who take advantage of these tragedies, and they exploit the victims and their families and even those in our community who want to help. There is one official place to donate money. That account set up by the Stanislaus Sheriff Sworn Deputies Association, or the SSDA, Stanislaus Sworn Deputies Association. If you don't have the link, we'll make sure you get it. I believe it's already been posted on our Facebook page. Anything else is unauthorized and probably fraudulent. So we would absolutely caution anyone in the community, once again, who reads or watches this news conference on TV or reads about it, unless it is the official donation page that we put together, do not, buyer beware, do not donate to anything other than that.
Chief, this is more of a question for you. When we were speaking with investigators yesterday, they were telling us that the two officers were patrolling separately and alone. Is this going to impact safety protocol for officers as far as having two of them instead of just one patrolling? Is that possible with the department?
So I'm going to take that for the chief. Okay. I've got deputy sheriffs who work alone. We've worked alone since 1854. It's just one of those things we do. The luxury of having enough staff to work either two-person cars or have enough people in any, law enforcement officers in any area is resource dependent. It's budget constraint. There's a lot of reasons why we're forced to work alone. These men and women are highly trained, well-qualified peace officers. Bad things happen. So this tragedy is not about changing protocols or anything that we're doing with respect to training or anything that we've done. This is about a single individual, a coward, who pulled the trigger and in a senseless act of violence took the life of a dedicated peace officer in the Newman community. That's where we need to stay focused. I'll take one more and we're done.
Sheriff, I'd just like to say on behalf of the citizens of Newman, we appreciate all of you guys do. It really hurts.
I know. It hurts. I've been there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Please remember what the chief said. Stay focused on Ron and his family for me, please. And as soon as we have this criminal in custody, we'll let you know.
If I can, real quick, we have set up a tip line. If anybody has any information, we would ask that you call our tip line at area code 209-525-7202. We also want to thank the members of the media who got these photographs out very quickly to the general public, that generated quite a few tips and quite a few leads that have been very beneficial for us. And so we still want to encourage that any tips that may come in to send them through us. And we will continue to update our Facebook page as we have updated information to release, and we will not plan another press release unless we have something really substantial or have our suspect in custody. The tip number is area code 209-525-7202.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I almost forgot about that. It's all right. Chief.